Hello and welcome to a very rolly Follow the Boat. If you don't know who we are Liz, Jamie and Millie the cat, and we live aboard this boat, Esper, and we normally sail the high seas. We also sit at anchor where it can get very rolly, as you'll see from the horizon moving up and down behind me. So if I lean forward and grab the camera, that's why. Anyway, these dailies that we're putting out all this week fall outside of our normal vlog. We take on board your questions and we discuss various issues relating to this cruising life. Today we talk to Barry Kennedy, and Barry has recently undertaken a complete refit in Thailand. Now, those regular viewers out there will know that Liz and I did pretty much the same thing about 18 months ago. Doing a refit in Thailand is not without its trials and tribulations, of course. And in this interview, Barry is particularly candid about his own experience.
Hi, my name is Barry Kennedy, and I'm from Ophir, Colorado. I'm a helicopter pilot, and my boat's name is Spalpeen. It's a Dix 38. I purchased the boat in Cape Town, South Africa, and sailed it across the Indian Ocean. And by the time I got here, there was a lot of things that I wanted to fix that just didn't work for me. And having the opportunity to put that kind of ocean miles on, I really learned what worked and what I wanted. And I was working here in Southeast Asia at the time and had an opportunity to put the boat up here in Krabi and start working on it. It was a fairly major refit, all exterior paint from the bottom to the decks, and then the inside there was quite a bit of major realignment of the starboard side and the galley and just the flow of the boat. So quite a bit of carpentry was involved as well. So one thing I found, this boat is professionally built out of steel and then was owner finished on the inside. And the previous owner hadn't done a lot of ocean sailing, and it was really well built and overbuilt, but it wasn't very practical, and the use of space wasn't great. So as you came down, there was like a little room into the aft cabin, and there was a sink, and you never used it, and there was very limited galley space, and it was almost compartmentalized. You couldn't see or flow through the boat. And one thing I noticed sailing and living on it was that the space wasn't wrong, and there was a lot of potential because my boat is what they call a raised deck saloon. So you actually sit up very high and you can look out through the windows instead of going down deep into a boat. So I took out a wall and I cut out backsplashes, and we ripped out walls where we couldn't get to plumbing and fittings, and basically made everything in the boat accessible. And in turn doing that, redid systems like fuel and hosing. And the deeper you dive into something like this, the more you see stuff and you're like, well, it's open, I guess I better do this while I'm here. And what you thought was going to be a fairly simple job turns into 3 weeks. But it makes sense, because once you start investing the time and money into doing this stuff, you might as well do it correctly, because you're just going to have to come back and do it again in the future. So I kind of knew that there was a lot, and I did a lot of the system stuff down in Langkawi with a friend of mine, Dirk, before I got up here, because I wanted to do all the mechanical stuff. Not just because I wanted to know where it was, it's because, I'm living on the boat and traveling. I just think it was a good thing. So most of that was done prior to arriving here in Krabi, and then we dove into the carpentry and the painting of the boat. So a lot of the original carpentry was home built, and it was done really well, but it wasn't done in a manner that was appropriate for a boat. You just couldn't get to stuff, to fittings, to pumps, to hoses. The floorboards were coming up, so I redid the cabin soles. We did, like I said, we chopped out walls and kind of realigned stuff. The carpentry here in Thailand is pretty good. There's really skilled tradesmen, but it is painfully slow. Cost-wise, when I lived in South America, I had come up with this thing that it wasn't that much cheaper, and I think that's kind of the case here because of productivity. But you can get what you want, and the quality ends up being really nice. But it does take a long time, and it can be painful. So as you came down, you couldn't see forward. There was a splash behind the sink, and then the chart table was behind it, and it had all sorts of built-in stuff, and we ripped it out so you could see forward. And I built into the chart table basically a little shallow shelf where you can put your laptop, because I use my laptop on electronic charts, And I redid a lot of the electronics in this boat. It had older Raymarine Legacy ST60, ST70 instrumentation that was CTOC, that 10, 12 years old. And adding newer stuff, I was having compatibility issues. So we ripped it all out, and I went to a NEMA 2000 network in the boat, and I chose B&G stuff. But in doing that, I didn't buy a very expensive chart plotter. I bought some very low-end stuff that was functional, and I put everything on the laptop and ran everything through OpenCPN. So I made a little space in the chart table for the laptop so it could sit securely on passage. And then I ran the network through. Everything is wireless in there too with a multiplexer. So I have an iPad, and anywhere on the boat, all the boat data, speed, depth, is overlaid onto a chart, either Navionics or iSailor, and it's really handy. I still carry paper. I'm a aviator by profession, and so I like charts, but I rely on non-proprietary electronics. When I say that, not chart plotters, like consumer devices like iPads and computers for most of my charting. So paint was good here. They do a really nice job. It took a long time, but it was. I felt there was some value in it. So when I bought the boat in South Africa, a quick little history about it. It was built, and it was kind of one of those crushed dreams. Guy built it. He did a wonderful job, and they tried going sailing, and they had issues with people in the family getting really sick. And he maintained it, and it sat around for a few years, but well maintained. I bought it, sailed it across here to Malaysia and Thailand, and everything broke. But once I got here, the deck started peeling, and it was a moisture issue in the paint. And because it went from a real cold, damp climate to a real hot climate, there was an issue with the primer probably not keying. So I had to repaint the deck. And the hull or the topsides were pushing 9 years, and it just made sense to all do it at once. Everybody you talk to who wants to paint, they want you to paint in a paint called All Grip, and I decided All Grip was an inappropriate paint for me. All Grip is a 2-part polyurethane based paint, and it's very hard, and if you chip it or damage it, you can't repair it. And so I chose a paint by the same company called All Craft 2000, which is a 2-part acrylic paint. Similar, not quite as shiny as the All Grip, but with an acrylic paint, you can fix it. You can buff it, you can cut it, you can patch it, and then buff it back. And I'm going to some places in the world where the boat's going to be beat up and rafted up to by fishing boats and car tires. And I wanted a paint that looked nice, it was going to last, but also that had some durability, which is why I went with the All Craft paint. I remember first meeting Jamie, pushing 10 months ago or so, and he gave me this pearl of advice. And I was still working and making really good money at the time, was spend as much as you can during your refit while you're still employed. And so that is very good advice, and I'm glad I did it. If you're going to do it all at once. It really makes a lot of sense. So there's a lot on the internet and opinions and web pages about doing work in Thailand. And I think work can be done in Thailand, but a lot of what you read is true, but you have to be on site. If you try to come here, Thailand, in my opinion anymore, maybe it was 10 years ago, is a destination to do boat work. I don't know if I would say it is. I think it is a place where you're capable of doing boat work in Thailand. I don't know if I would come here specifically for that, but you have to be on site. Otherwise, you're just not going to be happy. And it's better. You learn more about your boat and you get to see stuff. And I think that anybody who goes under a refit, the more hands-on you can be, the better off. I know every hose clamp, every bolt, every electrical connection on this boat. And I feel confident that if anything broke in the middle of the ocean, I know where it is and I can fix it. And until you do that, and have that sense of confidence and self-sufficiency, you just can't gain some of the knowledge without tearing into a project like this. It's a shame, if you just do it and pay somebody to do it. The opportunity here in Thailand is that you can be directly involved, and if you're going to make that investment in time and investment in money, I think you really need to be hands-on. But it's definitely also a lesson here in patience and diplomacy, and It's been an interesting experience.
So Barry, it's been literally only, what, 3 weeks since we last caught up, and in that time you have completed the refit, splashed, made your way down to Langkawi, about to check out, and
Going to the Maldives.
incredible that you've managed to do it in such short space of time. So tell us about it since we last spoke.
So when I saw you in Krabi, we were working, and I've had Toby helping me out, and we put in some long days, and we splashed in Krabi, put everything back in the boat, which was amazing. It takes so much time. And I sailed the boat up to Phuket, where we did some provisioning and some last minute projects. And then Toby and I sailed the boat to Langkawi, where I had the boat here previously when I was working in Malaysia. So I had some friends here who came together, and in 2 days we tensioned the rig, we serviced the motor, put on a gearbox cooler, checked all the fittings, knocked off a bunch of punch list stuff, did some last minute provisioning, and tomorrow Toby and I are taking the day off, and Saturday we're heading for the Maldives.
Sounds brilliant. So what are your immediate plans then, Maldives and beyond?
So I have to go back and work and pay for the refit. So I'll get to the Maldives, and I really want to go to Hudavu, which is this huge atoll to the north of Adu. We're going to the southern end of the Maldives, and I stopped there on the way here from South Africa, and I just want to chill. Like, I've been burning the candle from both ends for months. So just do some diving, some snorkeling, and then I have some good friends from South Africa who sailed with me from the Seychelles to here, who will come and take the boat from the Maldives to South Africa. It'll get hauled, putting in a hard dodger and doing some fabrication to get it ready for the Southern Ocean. And when my contract is finished in the States in August, I'll come get the boat, do some projects, and sail from Cape Town to the Falklands, and then the Falklands to Argentina for the summer season down there in the glaciers.
Okay, and just finally, of the refit, what's your one favourite thing that you're most pleased with?
Being done.
The very next day, after recording that, we waved goodbye to Barry and crew as they headed out of Talaga Marina, past M5, the world's biggest single-masted yacht, and out into the Indian Ocean, proving that anyone can do it if they put their mind to it. Tomorrow we're going to have one more daily episode, but in the meantime, if you like what we do, please do consider becoming a supporter of our videos. We're completely self-funded and rely solely on your support. So head over to www.followtheboat.com/thanks, and for as little as $2 a month you can help contribute towards the production of these videos, and we really do appreciate everyone's support. Catch you tomorrow.
Yeah.